Welcome to Just For You Pod, especially heinous. I'm Gabe.
I'm Tasha.
We're on Season 7, Episode 4, Ripped.
And I am on Lorazepam because I had a terrible morning. So let's hope that I can. Woo. Anyway.
All right. Opening scene. Betty and Stabes are in a school talking to a principal guy. They ask what happened to, quote, the girl. The principal says that the girl, Pamela, wouldn't tell him what happened, but whatever happened, the perp ripped her clothes and hit her. This is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever attacked her ripped her clothes.
Oh my God, I didn't
and hit her.
It was in the first
lines. And I'm just like, whoa. Ripped, muscles, drugs, clothing.
So Pamela is being wheeled out by EMS when Benny and Stabes see her.
Oh, hang on really quick though. The principal, he was in major pain, which...
I love that fucking movie.
It is one of those movies
I wonder how it holds up.
I've seen 100 times.
Yeah.
I have seen Major Pain so many times. The Wayans brothers had a chokehold on the nation at this time.
They did.
And so I was like, oh, he was in Major Pain. I haven't seen that in a while. I wonder if it holds up. I highly doubt it. I'm sure it's just so 90s as fuck. But he also plays a boxing promoter in the movie The Fighter with Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg. Have you seen that?
I don't think so.
So fucking good. Heartbreaking. So fucking good.
Huh. That's like a newer one, right?
Yeah, ish.
Yeah, like in the last
Amy
20
Adams.
years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The EMS wheeling her out says she's stable, but there are no apparent fractures, but she's beat up and she might need a few stitches. Benson obviously tries to talk to Pamela. She's taken to the ambulance. Pamela's like, leave me alone. She just had an argument and she doesn't want to talk about it. And we're like, oh my God, Pamela, no, you're too young. Oh.
You're too young. You need to be at least in your 20s to have an awful man do something terrible to you.
Right. When Benny carefully asks Pamela if she was raped, Pamela says, I said something nasty to him. It's my fault. And I'm like, oh my God, honey, no. Benny rides to the hospital with Pamela while Toots and Stabler stay at the school. The principal tells Toots and Stabler that the custodian saw a boy run down the hall before Pamela was found. The custodian didn't see the boy's face, but he did say that the boy had on baseball team practice sweats. Oh my God. Cut to the baseball field. Toots and Stabler asked the coach if any of the players didn't show up. The coach is like, they're all here. What are you talking about?
Oh, this coach, he's been in a bunch of stuff, but his last role was in the movie Handle Your Business as a dude named Bone Daddy.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of that. Okay.
I like all of it. I don't know what it means.
So Stabler spots one boy with what looks like blood on his jersey. So Toots asks the coach to call him over. So the coach is like, yo, LT, come over here. Blah, blah, blah. The coach leaves so that Toots and Stabler can speak with him.
If you were a Vampire Diaries person, he was in 171 episodes of that. The only role I cared about was that he was uncredited as Nathan with Bicycle in Minority Report.
Whoa. The kid?
The kid, yeah.
Oh.
Also, if he's not at least 23 here, I will shave my head and eat my hair. This guy is a fucking...
Open your mouth.
Check your mouth.
Yeah. So Stabler's like, hey, dude, how'd you get blood on your shirt? And the music gets all swelly. And Toots asks him if he got blood on his shirt from beating the crap out of Pamela. Fucking kid punches Toots in the fucking face. And Stabler's like, whoa.
Cold clock.
Yeah. This kid is arrested, of course.
The entire budget for this episode was spent on sandbags. Just...
Yes. Obviously, this kid is arrested and tells him that his dad's a cop. His dad's name is Pete Breslin. And then Stabler's like, oh my God, you're Luke. Dude, this is Stabler's old radio car partner's son. Theme song. At the precinct, Stabler, Luke, and Toots sit up in that one room. It's not the interview room. It's up where they like hang out. There's a couch and they can play video games and stuff per that one episode. Stabler uncuffs little Luke. Luke's worried about his dad being pissed at him, and Stabler said that he's known his dad a long time, so he's going to talk to him first. I was like, oh my God. This is
someone who just assaulted a cop.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, is this going to be one of those SHIELD those like, what is it, courtesy shield things.
Yeah.
You know how like Toots is like, I don't want to jam him up. He's already in trouble. I'm like, you got punched in the face. If this was anybody else, you would have fucking squirrel jumped him or whatever from the top of an island of Aruba. Okay. Luke asked Stabler if he did something wrong. And Stabler's like, what? Yeah, you beat up Pamela. And then Luke's like, did Pamela say that? And Toots is like, bro, we called you on it and you threw a punch at me. Remember? He doesn't remember any of it, okay?
Which they would never believe in real life. They would never. They'd go, oh my fucking God.
They're both like, what? But Dad, why does he believe
I wonder. He's clearly telling the truth.
Stabler asks Luke what he remembers. Luke says he remembers last period, the bell ringing. He was getting dressed for practice. The next thing he remembers, he was sitting in the back of Stabler's cop car. They ask him how Pamela's blood ended up on his shirt, and he says he doesn't know. And then Stabler says she does and points down to where Pamela is, and she's walking with Benson through the bullpen. She has a bandage on her head. He pops up because he wants to talk to her, but obviously Stabler's like, no, we only reserve that for people passing each other during court cases. Sorry, sit down. Okay. Munch comes up to sit with Luke. Stabler and Toots walk downstairs. Stabler wants Toots to give a statement about Luke punching him, but Toots doesn't want to do anything because he says that Luke probably has never been in trouble before and his dad would have killed him, and Luke is, quote, jammed up enough. If it wasn't another cop's kid, like we talked about, they would have, like, reserved a room with no camera for Toots to, quote, talk to him for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. My only note here for the end of the scene was, wow, so we're angry today, I guess.
Yeah, it's just like, bullshit, boring, boring.
Fucking, I'm Craigging this episode.
I know.
So Stabler walks into the room.
It's that cute little bald head. You guys are twins.
Stabler walks into the room where Pamela and Benson are, and Pamela immediately says, you can't change my mind, so quit asking. Mm-hmm. Pamela is told that Luke has been brought in and asks how they knew it was him. Stabler tells her about the blood being on Luke's shirt and whatever. She wants to know what's going to happen to Luke. Benson tells her that's up to the ADA. Pamela says that Luke has never done anything like that and thinks that something's definitely wrong. Benny tells her if she tells them what happened, they can try to help him. Mm-hmm. So after school, Luke was running down the hall and he seemed hyped up. He grabbed Pam, kissed her like they were going out.
Ew.
Yeah. She pushed him away, which pissed him off. So he pulled her into a classroom, ripped her shirt. She kicked him. He punched her and then he left. She's like, you guys, he's my best friend. I wonder if I did something that led him on. Benny fucking hell gnaws her and says that Luke had no right to hurt her. She should definitely fucking press charges. And this girl is, her acting isn't, it didn't flourish after this. But so the way she said this made me laugh really hard. But she goes, but he'll get kicked out of school. He won't graduate. What's everybody gonna say if I do this to him? Like she said it like a Big Bob Bacon Burger baby. Like, but he'll get kicked out of school. So then we pause for a deep, frustrated sigh by an adult woman who has seen this a million times and hates it as much as we do. Craiggin comes in and has Stabler step out of the room to pass him off to Pamela's parents, who are confused and pissed. Toots had already filled them in on what happened. Stabler lets them know that Pamela's bruised up and has stitches, but otherwise she's okay. It turns out that Luke has been friends with Pamela since 2nd grade, and he's always at their house. These two are like surrogate parents to him. Yeah. Mom asks Stabes, how could he do this? And Stabes tells them they can't arrest him since Pamela won't press charges. And her parents are like, well, we can fucking press charges, but it's not up to them. It's up to Pam. Which, when they're minors, I don't know. That didn't seem correct to me. But
I mean, they have DNA in his shirt. I mean, they have enough, right?
But this is, and we find this out. But this is Stabler being like, well, we can't really do anything. Well, maybe we should just all forget about it. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe we should just move on. Ugh.
Fuck you, Stabler.
Yeah. Stabes tells him that the worst the police can charge him with is misdemeanor assault. It might not be worth it to make Pamela relive what happened in trial. Benson comes out and introduces herself to Pamela's parents. She tells them that they can go inside and see their daughter, then hops to her highest fucking octave to Stabes and says, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Huh? Over here?
Yeah.
She pulls Stabes into another room. Hi. Yeah. What in the fresh fucking fat hell was that about his trial comment to Pamela's parents? Stabler doesn't believe that Luke hurt Pamela on purpose, and Benson asks if it's because Luke's dad is Stabler's ex-partner. Stabler's like, no, dude, he had memory loss, so who knows? And Benson's like, that's fucking convenient. Elliot, if this was any other kid, there would be no discussion. Stabler already called. Stabler would have had a chair kicked out from under him, fucking sleeves rolled up by the collar, Benny going, maybe we need to leave the room and cool off. Like, that's the Stabler we know. And now you're like, maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe it's a misunderstanding.
And if it like happened to little Stabler's fucking turtle, he'd blow up the city.
So Elliot, Stabler tells her that he already called Huang to come talk to Luke. Again, Benny, fully understanding protocol, is like, since when do we call the shrink before we make the collar? I mean, it's season 7 and Stabler wiped a DUI from his daughter's record, so we know he's a thin blue line fucking dickbag.
Yeah.
Benny somehow doesn't realize that at this point, though. Benny's not having any of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be worth it to make Pamela relive what happened. Who are you fucking kidding? You're trying to make this go away.
Yeah.
The bullshit that he gives her about knowing Luke since he was a sweet angel baby tells me he knows nothing about the field that he's in. They arrest undetected pedophiles all the fucking time. You have no idea what anyone is capable of.
Dude, yeah.
Like, this is what you deal with all the time. And you're like, I've known him since he was a little baby. And little baby him wouldn't know. Benny's like, dude, you haven't known him since fucking puberty. And he's not so sweet and innocent anymore, guy. Benny leaves to go check in with Pamela and her parents. Maybe they change their mind about pressing charges. Looks Stabler up and down, leaves the room. Goodbye. Luke's dad's walking into the precinct because Stabler had called him. And they meet up in the hallway. Hey, it's Truman's best friend from the Truman Show, and I will always only remember him as that guy. I'm the exact same way with Laura Linney, because she was also in the Truman Show as Truman's girlfriend. Even though she's been in so much stuff, including Ozark, which I hard binged the shit out of like last week.
Oh, did you finish it? Isn't it so good?
Dude, I watched that until my eyes bled.
Yeah, it was
like, it was all I was doing. But yeah, this is Truman's best friend. This actor, his name's Noah Emmerich. He's been in The Walking Dead. He was in 2
episodes. He in The Walking Dead?
I made a note of it for you.
Oh, okay.
He was in 2 episodes as Edwin Jenner. He was in Copland with Stallone, Harvey Keitel, and fucking Ray Liotta. He was in Wind Talkers with Nick Cage. He also had a starring role in the series The Americans. He was in Warrior. Talk about amazing fight movies, which is one of my top fave rewatchable movies. Tom Hardy, Nick Nolte, Joel Edgerton. Warrior, that I've told you to watch 100 times and you haven't.
Warrior. Huh. I love Tom Hardy. That's weird.
I know.
Is it a boxing movie? Is that why?
No, it's an MMA movie.
Oh, God.
And they're brothers. And Nick Nolte is their alcoholic father, and he's like sober, trying to get a relationship back. And then he's coaching fucking Tom Hardy, and then they end up having to. I don't want to give anything more away, but it checks every box of one of those kind of movies for me. Oh, the National plays at the end, and it's beautiful, and it's I love you, Tommy. Oh my God, and I fucking sob every time. Just let me watch the last 6 minutes of that movie if I need to fucking squeak a tear out for something, because I will. Shit. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, the first thing this cop dad says to the other cop dad is, man, am I lucky you caught this. What the fuck? Stabler tells him Luke hasn't been booked and is upstairs with another detective in our hangout room.
Yeah.
Stabler tried to call Luke's mom, but Breslin tells him she moved out 6 years ago and moved to Michigan. She has no contact with him or Luke. Breslin asks about Stabler's marriage, and he tells Breslin about Kathy and the kids staying with her mom. Whoop, whoop, we're cops. Our wife's left.
Yeah, yeah. What did they say? They're like, casualty of the job. I'm like, casualty of not getting therapy, you fucking assholes? This isn't...
Yeah, casualty of the job. I'm sorry that your job attracts the angriest fucking people. It's not cop stuff. It's angry guy stuff, which you both prove later. Stabler tells Breslin that Luke says he doesn't remember what happened. Breslin has the absolute balls to get upset that Luke was interrogated before he got there. He gets upset that his kid, who assaulted a teenage girl and a fucking New York City detective, didn't get booked, isn't sitting in a holding cell, isn't even cuffed, was asked a fucking question.
Yeah. He's up there playing GameCube or whatever the fuck was going on then.
Yeah. Stabler calms him down and sends him up to meet with Munch and Luke.
All right.
Just the expectation.
I know.
Of you asked him a fucking question without me here. And it's like
we're both cops.
He's getting a manicure right now, dude.
Yeah.
He's being treated differently than any other person who walks into this place in cuffs.
Right. Stabler goes over to where Benson, Novak, and Cragen are discussing Pamela not wanting to press charges. Her parents weren't able to change her mind, and Pamela won't talk anymore. Novak asks what evidence they have against Luke, so they have the 911 call, pictures of her face, and the DNA from the bloody shirt. Novak's like, yeah, we'll just prosecute him without a complaint. We don't need this. We'll just do it like a domestic violence situation where the partner doesn't want to press charges. Stabler's like, well, this has a lot to do for a misdemeanor. I said it misdemeanor.
Misdemeanor.
Benson, I'm leaving it. I don't care. Benson is irritated, unless you don't want me to. I'm leaving it.
No, leave it.
I'm putting my foot down on the misdemeanor. You're like, okay.
Misdemeanor. Mrs. Meaner is going to be really upset.
Yeah. Junior Meaner is gonna get bullied in school.
That guy, if he was a history teacher in a high school, he would have no chance. Mr. Meaner, you want to give us homework this weekend, Mr. Meaner?
Can I just pay a fine, Mr. Meaner? Benny is fucking irritated and says that Pamela is lucky that she wasn't killed or fucking disfigured, and that she doesn't think that it should be just a misdemeanor.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah. So they all leave, and Cragen tells Stabler to get Luke into the system. Fucking now, dude.
And I'm not letting Toots off the hook either. Like, he got fucking cold cocked by this kid.
He had a bruise on his face. Yeah.
He's also like, we'll just let it go. A kid punched a cop.
Right.
And you're also like, Cragen should be spanking you a little bit too, because you're a part of the problem right now.
Mm-hmm. So Stabler starts to walk over and meet Munch at the observation area where Luke and his dad are talking. Mm-hmm. Wong arrives, and Stabler asks him what he thinks. And Wong's like, I just got here. I kind of have to talk to Luke first. And Stabler's like, oh, yeah. So Huang goes to speak with Luke, and Stabler and Breslin go to the other room to watch. Munch is there and basically tells Wong and Stabler, I'm going to go take a shit. So... I mean, he's like, I'm going to be in the, what did he say? The
porcelain library?
Observatory or some shit. Yeah, he's just like, I'm going to go shit. We're like, oh yeah, that's right. Munch is a comedian in real life. Stabler and Wong go into the interview room. Wong is going to stay in the room with Luke to chat, and Stabler and Breslin are going to go to the other side of the glass. That doesn't mean anything because Cragen's not there.
Nope.
Breslin tells Stabler that Luke also told him that he doesn't remember anything, and as a dad, he's really worried about him. And Stabler can understand that. Okay. Stabler asks if Luke had a problem with drugs, and Breslin's like, no. Luke is a good student and athlete and is super liked. None of that means anything. It never has. Have you ever seen a movie?
Right.
You know? Stabler tells Breslin that he has to book Luke in its captain's orders. And of course, Breslin's like, what the fuck, man? It's gonna like mess with his chances at college. Like, his life is over before it started. And Stabler's like, dude, Luke punched a girl 3 times. And a cop, even though he didn't even fucking say that. It's fucking serious. And Stabler's like, dude,
ruin his whatever. Okay,
yeah, 20 minutes of an activity, whatever. You know, like, he likes steak. He's really good at cooking steak. And you're like, remember?
Yeah, it was specifically ribeyes. I remember all these details because I fucking think about how much I hate him all the time.
It's fucking crazy.
It's so gross.
Okay. Stabler tells Breslin to call a lawyer, and he turns around to leave the room. Breslin is pissed and asks Stabler if he's going to do anything about it, and Stabler kind of turns around slowly, and he's like, what? Breslin's like, I fucking heard about last year about you getting your daughter off on a DUI. Those cops told me. And Stabler's like, whoa, bro, this is different. It's me. Stabler's like, whoa, dude, and says that she didn't hurt anyone. And Breslin's like, yeah, she could have killed somebody. And then Stabler yells, then I'd be in the same boat as you doing exactly what I'm telling you to do. Breslin keeps pushing, so Stabler tells him to get a fucking lawyer and go home, and that Luke is going through the system and he can't do anything about it. Go whine to Cragen then. I'd love to see that.
Right.
Bitch.
You bitch.
All right, so Stabler's doing a little walk and mumble by himself, I guess. and Cragen stops him in the hall and lets him know that Pamela's parents told him what Stabler said about Pamela being, quote, better off not making complaint. And he's fucking pissed. He's pissed. Cragen says that this is worse than breaking the rules this time. And the whole time Stabler's like, yeah, but, and Cragen keeps cutting him off, right? Mm-hmm. He put the entire squad's credibility on the line and did everything he could to give his ex-partner's kid a pass. Then Cragen says that as of this minute, he's fucking on vacation and to get out of his sight before he does something he's gonna regret. And I'm like, why would you regret it at this point? Like, he's a fucking...
Get the absolute fuck out. And I loved it. I've never been sexually attracted to Cragen before, but, you know.
Yeah, and Stabler's just like, okay, bye. And just fucking takes off. He can't get a word in. He can't do his normal, I make excuses, and Cragen's like, all right. Although I have seen Stabler, like, literally do worse, and Cragen's like, all right. Like, when he...
Shot someone.
Kicked over the door. When he, I don't know, went undercover as McStabler and didn't say anything. Like...
But he embarrassed his grandma at church. Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the equivalent of that, where Cragen's like, our credibility is...
Like, somebody woke up feeling this in the air. It was like, I gotta get over there and fucking take... Yeah.
Yeah. The fucking
Speaking of Minority Report.
The commissioner sat up, like, like fucking Minority Report. Out of his fucking liquid goo bed chamber that he sleeps in. I had to watch that again. All right.
Yeah, me too. We should watch it together.
We should. In the interview room, Huang chats with Luke, who is erratically talking about how crazy it seems to him that he would ever do that. He sounds like Brad Pitt in 12 Monkeys during this time. He's like, I've never punched anyone. Dad told me to punch back if somebody hit me, but Pamela wouldn't hit me. Plus, I'm stronger, so I don't have to, and he's just talking really fast. Huangingly interrupts and asks,
why have we never used that as a verb before?
I don't know.
That's what I'm gonna start saying to you if, like, we're getting into an argument, or I see maybe, like, you're starting to get manic or something, and I'm like, I'd like to wongingly talk to you about something, or vice versa.
Huangingly interrupts and asks, hey, bud, are you okay? He points out that Luke seems anxious. Yeah. Luke hops up and gives this situation isn't normal for anyone but you rundown. I'm in a police precinct explaining to a shrink that I don't remember knocking the shit out of my best friend and also a cop. Yeah, I'm a little fucking anxious, dude.
Yeah.
Huang wants to get the bigger picture and asks Luke how he keeps up with his grades juggling school and sports. Luke says that he stays up all night if he needs to. Huang's like, wow, that seems to be a lot of energy for one person. Do you have any bad days ever? And Luke's like, everybody does. Sometimes I feel so bad I can barely get out of bed. And then this is where I'm like, is he going to say this dude has bipolar? Because all this kid is describing is how I was when I was unmedicated in my 20s.
Yeah.
Except for the, like, punching people and, like, raging out thing. Okay, so Luke thinks Huang is trying to confuse him with his questions. Huang says, that's not what I'm trying to do, guy. But Luke's like, dude, I have bad days. I don't know why I hurt Pam. This is confusing. It doesn't make sense, and it's ridiculous. Huang leaves the room to walk and talk with Cragen and Benny. Stress is definitely not what made Luke attack Pamela. Cragen tells him that Breslin agreed to a drug test for Luke, but Huang doesn't think it's drugs, and runs down the symptoms that he gathered. Luke was talking fast. He has periods of intense energy and periods of severe depression. It's possible that at the age of 17, he's experiencing the beginnings of signs of bipolar disorder. There it is. But why punch Pamela? Well, rage can come with a manic state. Huang thinks Luke should be medicated if he does have bipolar.
Hot take, Huang.
Right. After Huang leaves, Benson tells Cragen that Novak's going to need evidence that Luke has a history of blowing his stack before arraigning him. Cragen thinks this stinks of a psych defense. I mean, if there is a valid psych defense, it should be presented.
For sure.
So,
but I think they always associate it with, like, trying to get off rather than, like...
Yeah, but if he's noticing signs of bipolar, like, there needs to be accountability
definitely
for everyone, but it needs to be tempered with the reality that this is different than a normal assault if it involves somebody who is to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I read a thing the other day that someone posted that said, and this is like a known thing in, like, AA communities and stuff. It said alcoholism is the only illness that people yell at you for having. And I was like, mental health illnesses and disorders as well, because it's like, it's just stuff you can't see. But that's just my little soapbox. Yeah, psych defense when it's bullshit, but it definitely has a place. So Benson's gonna need to talk to Luke's friends, starting with Pamela. She goes to the Sawyer residence. Pam's sitting there with Benny. She says she's never seen Luke get mad, even when he should. And Benny's like, why should Luke get mad? Pamela tells Benson about how hard Luke's dad pushes him with school and sports. Nothing's ever good enough. He made Luke keep playing even against doctor's advice post-surgery. Luke's dad had him join a gym after Luke wasn't, quote, performing the way he thought he should be in baseball. Pressure from his dad.
Mm-hmm.
At the gym, Toots is talking to the gym owner about Luke. Oh, and this little muscle guy.
I knew you were gonna love this guy. I just knew it.
He is a little muscle guy. He looks like a water cooler, and he's changing the water cooler. It's this whole thing on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, but it's ringing true here very much. And he talks exactly like Rowdy Piper.
Oh my God.
And he's like,
sure, I know, Luke. Joined just before last summer. Worked out like a fiend until last week.
So last week he got into it with another member.
He got into it with one of the members.
Luke thought the guy was taking too long on the bench press. Luke punched the dude, and this owner had to jump in and split him up, and he hasn't seen Luke since. Toots gives the guy his card and tells him to contact him if he thinks of anything else. The guy tells him that Luke has a locker that needs to get cleared out. So they're going to go back to clear out Luke's locker. Our little muscle guy cuts the lock so that Toots can get in there. Toots finds multiple kinds of steroids in a bag along with syringes. And he's like, he's stacking them. You running a juice bar, Buster? And I guess this guy's name is Buster. And he goes, that stuff will give you...
It's Mr. Buster to you. Buster like, misdemeanor.
Mr. Buster Meaner.
I was just going to... Yeah.
He's like, that stuff will give you pimples and shrink your balls. I swear I don't know where it came from. This gym owner wants whoever may be selling these drugs, if they're in his gym, to get fucking busted. Toots asks him to let them put an undercover cop in the gym.
Cut to the precinct. Cragen, Toots, and Benson do a little walk and talk. Cragen tells them that the narcotics division laughed at his request to put an undercover officer in the gym because it isn't a priority. They said no one on steroids is out robbing and killing people to get money to buy more steroids. And Toots is like, yeah, they're usually the captain of the high school baseball team. Zing. They walk over to Huang, and Cragen confirms with Huang that Luke could have, quote, roid rage when he hurt Pamela. Huang says that the symptoms are indistinguishable from bipolar. His mood swings and rage could be from the changes in his testosterone levels. And the depression can be caused by stopping taking steroids. So the squad talks about all the wild shit that's happened because of steroid abuse. Wong says he saw a dude rip a steel door off the hinges and throw it, which is fucking, I mean, it's badass. It's very X-Men.
Yeah, that's very gorilla. Dude.
It's very Juggernaut. Benny says that this all makes sense because it's easy to get and you can bulk up fast. Cragen said that these kids' sports heroes are constantly breaking records on it. Munch mentions something about how Congress let it be bought over the counter, and he says, quote, certain center made a little backroom deal with the supplement industry to keep a steroid on the market. Huang thinks since Luke has no previous history of violent behavior, it's likely that the steroids are what made him hurt Pamela. So it's late now. Benny goes to Stabler's house. He answers the door, but they both just kind of stand there, and Benson looks around. She's like, are you going to invite me in or what? Stabler teenage turns around and he's like, yeah, but I want to talk about it, doll. Yeah, you do. Benson's like, that's fine. I just came to apologize. So she says he was right about Luke. She tells Stabes about the steroids they found in his gym locker. And he's been juicing it up for the last 6 months. She's been juicing up.
Juicy fruit.
Yeah. Pamela says it's the pressure his dad puts on him. So Stabler wants to tell Breslin about Luke's steroid use. Benson tells him not to because Luke begged them not to say anything, and it's only going to make it worse if he talks to Breslin. Breslin is Luke's dad, if we forgot.
Yeah.
Before she leaves, she tells Stabler about Luke's arraignment hearing in the morning. Cut to the arraignment hearing. That's when they have everybody walk by each other.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. So Stabler shows up to the arraignment. Benson is sitting next to the door, and Breslin is in the front row. When Luke's charges are read, assault in the 3rd degree and possession of controlled substance in the 3rd degree, Breslin fucking yells that his kid isn't on drugs. The judge threatens to fucking throw him out if he doesn't fucking shut up. You're in court. You're a cop. So Luke pleads not guilty. Novak goes over the evidence of 3 different types of steroids found after his assault on Pamela. Luke's lawyer argues that Luke has no previous record of violence or drug use, and that Luke's dad is a cop, and asks that Luke be released to the custody of his dad, and Novak has no objection. I do, though. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna get his ass fucking kicked. Luke is released, and Breslin rushes him out of the court in a way that makes the music swell, and you know that Luke is not safe with his dad.
And Stabler notices it too because he's watching them walk out and he decides to follow them. Out of the courtroom, you see a dude rushing out of the bathroom where we can hear screaming and yelling coming from, and it's behind a door. It's like, you're a failure. Can't be a man without drugs.
Yeah.
Stupid. And this guy who runs out grabs Stabler and goes, there's a dude beating a kid up in there. And Stave's like, all right, fuck off. I'm going to go in and see what's up. So he goes in and sees what he knew he was going to see. Breslin's shoving and hitting Luke, yelling at him about being a man. Stabler's trying to stop him. And then he and Breslin get in a fight. Stabler gets hurt, like in the scuffle. Then Breslin starts to hit Luke again, yelling at him that he's a failure. Ugh, this poor kid. Just like, you are your children's internal monologue, you know? Stabler goes after Breslin because he's like, fuck this, and punches him over and over and over until he's limp against the wall. Like, it got intense. He's like, you want some damage? I'll show you some damage. Just fucking sandbag, sandbag, sandbag.
NBC, they have a good sand guy.
They do. This is as close as these kind of guys will get to hugging and saying I love you to each other, by the way.
Yeah.
The court officers come in to stop Stabler. The guy who initially told Stabler about Breslin hitting Luke vouches for Stabler and tells the cops that Breslin was the one beating up the kid. Stabler's like, let me go, I'm a cop. Okay.
Yeah.
The officers arrest Breslin while Stabler's eyes are rolled back and he's heavy breathing looking at Luke. And Luke is just staring at him like, what the fuck? Benson pops in to see what the commotion is about. Stabler's like, I don't know, and walks past her. It was so intense.
Yeah.
Like, when Stabler was fucking going ham on Breslin, we'll find out shortly what that was all about. But, well, we'll find out now, I guess. Never mind. Let me get there. Let's find out now. Stabler's at an apartment door.
Is right now.
Right now. Stabler's at an apartment door, knock, 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 with his bloody fight knuckles. The door opens, and it's Dr. Hendricks. Remember? She was a former cop turned doctor and didn't like how the cops copped, and Benny felt a sexy vibe between Stabes and the doctor. Remember?
Yep.
She lets him into her apartment, and he tells her about the fight. So they sit down like therapist style, you know? She's asking him all these questions about the fight and how it happened, and Stabler's trying to clarify shit. She asks him if he remembers anything besides hitting the other guy, and Stabler says he remembers looking in the mirror. She goes, what did you see? And he's like, what difference does it make?
Oh my God.
I don't know, dude. You came to me. Answer my questions. He sits down, whispering into his hands, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? He's just beside himself. Hendricks asks why he came to see her, and he tells her about Cragen sending him home and Kathy leaving him the year before. Well, why did Kathy leave? And Stabler starts chuckling like a dude who's about to fucking crack, and he's like, she was tired of me being angry all the time. They went to counseling with a priest, but it didn't help. Stabler's like, I did the right things. I worked hard. I never cheated. And he's all upset about how things ended up. This is giving real I'm a good guy, and it's fucking gross.
Yeah.
You didn't cheat on her and you made money? Okay, well, that's all that's needed in a marriage. So
Yeah. I mow the lawn every 2 weeks.
big deal if I'm huffing and puffing and screaming and pissed all the time. God. Hendricks asks if what happened at the courthouse made him feel better, and that makes him confused and mad, and Stabler no like that. He said that coming there was a mistake. He goes to leave, and Hendricks runs after him, asking how many times he's thought about eating his gun. Stabler says that suicide's a sin, and Hendricks points out that divorce is too. So he's like, yeah, you got me. I'll come back in, and we're going to talk about the divorce and the job, and there were signs before Kathy left and before Cragen told him to leave. There were all these signs, but what were they? And Stabler says something about how he doesn't like being ordered around, but she points out that's what being a cop is. And
Yeah,
I
and
don't
the
think
military.
that's true. I don't think that's fully true. And he was in the military too.
Well, I mean, they have a hierarchy. Like Cragen's his boss. He
That's
has,
true.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's true. Yep.
They get away with shit because of their fucking power dynamic in society. But like, yeah, they're
But yeah, no, there is a strict order of
you have captain, you have sergeants, you have lieutenants. Like,
yeah. He says he became a cop because that's what his dad did. She's like, is he proud of you? Stabes just goes, I don't know, he's dead. Okay, then why wasn't he proud of you? I didn't say that. Don't put words on my mouth. I don't like that. Hendricks asks him about...
I'm only here for the zip line, okay?
Oh my God. That is so funny that you bring that up. Anyway.
Why?
Just, you'll see. Anyway.
Oh.
Hendricks asks him about his dad's time as a cop. He liked it till it screwed him. Stabler's dad was forced to, quote, rat out his friends to the Knapp Commission. They investigate alleged police corruption in the NYPD. Dr. Hendricks is kind of just mirroring everything Stabler says, but it gets him worked up every fucking time. And she says, so did becoming a snitch isolate your father? He was no rat. He never testified. They fired him and he lost his pension. Stabe said it seemed like it was the end of his dad's world. And I'm not him. She's like, I never said you were. Mm-hmm. Stabler wants to know why she's asking so many fucking questions. Again, you came here. She tells him that she needs to know him to help him. And he sits down and answers more questions about his relationship with his dad. They didn't get to spend a lot of time together, but he does remember his dad having to help him with a diorama on the Civil War for class when little Elliot was in 5th grade. And he's reminiscing about his dad helping him and telling him where to put the trees and the cannons and stuff. And like he was having a nice little memory. Mm-hmm. She asks him if he got a good grade, but then Stabler flips on a dime and gets agitated and won't answer the question. He doesn't understand what Hendricks wants from him. And she tells him, just tell me the truth. Just start talking. And this is where I can't make fun of him, okay? I can't make fun of Stabler anymore after this. She's spelling out that he needs to talk because men are literally not taught that. She has to step by step let him know this is how we need to have a conversation. It's just, it's fucking sad.
Yeah.
He tells her that he failed the project because he didn't hand it in. And when she asks why, he starts to cry. Oh. He moved a tree on the diorama, which when his dad saw it, it pissed him off. And his dad snatched it from him and stomped on it before he could leave for school. Then he beat Stabler with a belt because Stabler had cried. And only pansies cry. Ugh. Stabler's dad called him weak and a failure. Just like fucking Breslin was yelling at Luke in the bathroom. And this is when I'm like, oh, he wasn't beating the shit out of Breslin. He was beating the shit out of his dad.
Ooh,
When asked what he saw in the mirror at the courthouse, he tells her that he saw himself as his father saw him. Oh, Hendricks tells him that he's not weak, that he spends so much time being strong for others that he doesn't have anything left for himself, and that he's strong for talking about his problems.
I agree with it.
Yeah, she says it takes a lot more balls to talk about your problems than to beat the hell out of a ghost. That's the second mention of balls, which is a requirement in an episode about masculinity, apparently.
Right. I mean, it's true. I mean, I don't understand how this isn't known. Like, if the hardest thing a dude can fucking do is show his emotions, then he's fucking tough as dick to fucking be able to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's such a, I mean, I fucking hate it. And I'm seeing it more and more. Like, the older Jacoby gets, the more I'm seeing the raising a boy in a sea of toxic masculinity.
Well, and like the second they leave their house for kindergarten, preschool, like you have to battle fucking society. And you can't. I mean, you can, but you can't, you know?
Yeah. So Stabler goes to visit Breslin and Luke. As he's walking up to their house, he sees a bullet hole in a front window. So he draws his weapon before going into the house. Open the door. Breslin's on the floor. He's been shot in the head, but he's alive and conscious. He's just like, blink, blink, blink. And Stabler's calling 911 for an ambulance. I didn't mean it like
You know what that reminded me of?
What?
Remember in Step Brothers when they're trying to get the neighbors to not, or the people to not buy the house, and he has Will Ferrell with like blue paint on his face wrapped in tarp like he's gonna bury him, but Will Ferrell's just like blink, 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 like like he's just sitting there blinking. Okay.
So Stabler calls 911 for an ambulance. Cut to the ambulance. Breslin's strapped in and he whispers, I can't even get that right. And Stabler's like, what? He goes, blowing my brains out. He goes on talking about how good Luke is and what a piece of shit he is. And then he goes into cardiac arrest and his pulse is going crazy. The EMT's like, this is nuts. I've never seen anything like this before. I'm not sure what's going on. We're all fucking confused.
Right. So at the hospital, the doctor tells Stabler that the bullet in Breslin's head didn't hit his brain, so he's going to recover from the gunshot. He just got grazed, sort of. But Breslin's heart is in bad shape, though. He had something in his system that interacted with the epinephrine they gave him in the ambulance. It's possible that he's on steroids based on his testosterone levels. This is like, I learned it from watching you, Dad. That's not funny, but
it is. What a classic commercial.
I know. Cragen comes in. He talks to Stabler about the fight in the bathroom. So a lawyer called and told him about Stabes beating up Breslin and defending Luke. So Cragen's a little bit back on board with Stabler here, little by little. So what happened to him being on vacation? Because he hasn't been on vacation this entire episode. He's there.
Right.
He was in court. Stabler apologizes to Cragen. He's like, gee, Dad, I'm sorry. You were right. He's sorry about his behavior and also tells Cragen that he was right to, quote, put him on vacation. He was out of control. And he says he's been having trouble dealing with it. And Cragen tells him that in the future, if Stabler has trouble dealing with anything, he's got to come to him to work it out. Stabler tells Cragen that he wants to stay and talk to Breslin when he wakes up, and then tells Cragen that the doctor said that Breslin is taking steroids. Cragen's like, fuck. Cragen says that Munch and Toots are at the Breslin's house right now, and he's going to radio in for them to find the drugs in the house. All right, so Stabler goes in to talk to Breslin. And then Breslin's like, hey, if you want a kiss for saving my life, you can forget about it. Stabler's like, I'll settle for a hug. Okay.
No homo, but thanks for saving my life or whatever.
It's like, no, dude, we're pro-homo around here. And gives him a big hug. Stabler asks Breslin how long he's been taking steroids, and he's like, Breslin tells him about his partner. They got killed the year before by somebody taking his gun and shooting him. So this dude was his partner after Stabler. The guy was 43 years old. And Breslin says, quote, he got soft and got himself killed. So he started taking steroids after that happened. He didn't want what happened to his partner to happen to him. The roids maintained his edge on the streets. Breslin asks if Stabler's going to tell his CO, but Stabler's like, they already found your stash. Toots and Munch found it already. They can't hide it. And so Breslin says that he knew he was going to get fired after beating on Luke at the courthouse, and he knew he was going to lose his pension. And he tells Stabler that he tried to, quote, end it. And then Stabler says, Pete, don't lie to me. Why aren't there powder burns on the side of your head? Music gets all swelly. They stare at each other, and then they kiss. No, I'm just kidding. The music gets all swelly. They stare at each other, and Stabler says, where's Luke? Dude. Quote, end quote. Breslin says, he's my son. Benson pops in, and she has news for Stabler, so they step out of the room. Luke's fingerprints are on the trigger of the gun that Breslin is trying to say he used to try to kill himself. They think Luke may be armed because Breslin's duty weapon is missing. Luke didn't go to school, and neither did Pamela. Are they saying Pam or Pan? Okay. Are you saying Pamela or Panela? Benny and Stabes in patrol cars pull up to the house. They got a 911 call from somebody that's inside there. Apparently somebody is armed. Stabler knocks and looks into the window. Stabes and Benny open the front door with their guns drawn. They find fucking Pamela upstairs. She's sitting in her room on the bed crying. The door's like halfway, like you can only see just her, okay? She's staring to the other side of the room where we can't see. She looks over and sees Benny and Stabes in the doorway and nods yes when Benny motions if there is a gun. You can hear Luke ask who's out there, and he sounds very sad. Stabe tells him it's him and Benny. Luke tells him to go away, but Stabler tells him he can't do that, and he's going to come in without his weapon. He gives his gun to Benson, and Stabler opens the door further, and you can see Luke. Luke is in there with Pamela, but he's sitting against the wall with the gun held up to his chest, and he tells him to leave him alone. He's very depressed. Pamela begs him not to do it before Benson's like, come on, and gets her out of the room. Stabler is left alone in the room to talk to Luke. Luke says he doesn't want to talk anymore. Stabler gets a little closer and says that he doesn't have to talk. Stabler says, I actually came to apologize for beating up your dad. And then Luke says it's nothing compared to what I did to him, so. After court, Luke's aunt took him to her house, but he wanted to talk to his dad, so he went home and he got yelled at by his dad about the steroids. Luke tells his dad that he can't tell him not to do them if he's doing them. Luke got the drugs from his dad. He stole them. His dad told him to get out, but Luke was so mad and went and grabbed his dad's old gun and shot him in the head. He doesn't remember pulling the trigger. All he remembers is his dad lying on the floor bleeding. Luke tells Stabler that his dad was right in calling him a failure. Ugh. Stabler tells him that killing himself isn't the only way out and explains to him that he's going through withdrawal since the last time he took the drugs was like over a week ago. This is why he's so depressed.
Yeah.
Luke is convinced that he killed his dad, but Stabler tells Luke that his dad is alive. Luke does not believe him, and then Stabler gets mad. He yells at him, and he's like, I fucking talked to your dad less than an hour ago, and the bullet only grazed him. Stabler tells Luke that his dad sent him there to say sorry for hitting him, and that all of this is his fault, and that Luke is the only good thing in his life. Stabler convinces Luke to let go of the gun by telling him that his dad wants to see him. In the hospital, Stabler brings Luke in to see his dad, and Stabler kind of steps off. Luke says hi, and his dad opens his arms. Luke falls in his dad's arms, and Breslin apologizes and kisses his head, and Stabler's like watching, and he's like wishing that him and his dad had that. I wonder what's going to happen to them. I mean, none of this can go away. Anyways, end of the episode. Toyota.
In the early aughts, Don and Gwen Hooton were raising their 3 kids in Plano, Texas. Their youngest, Taylor, was a phenomenal pitcher on the school baseball team and made varsity as a junior. He had a ton of friends, had a girlfriend, a GPA of 3.8. He came from a family of athletes, including his older brother, who had crushed it in high school, as well as his cousin Bert Hooton, who pitched in the major leagues. When Taylor made the varsity team as a pitcher, he was motivated to become the best. His coach told him he needed to get bigger. The 16-year-old kid was 6'2", 180. So he was a big guy, but thin. Taylor's best friend, Billy Aheo, remembered how Taylor planned to make that happen. He said, quote, "We were sitting in the back of chemistry class doing a lab. He kind of mentioned it to me. He's like, yeah, I'm thinking about taking steroids. And I was like, no high school career is worth taking steroids. Because they can be pretty expensive, Taylor stole money from his mom to buy them from a dealer that sold from in front of the gym.
Okay.
Taylor was injecting himself up to 3 times a week and getting immediate results. He gained 30 pounds and could do crazy workouts like nothing. But along with his goals came the side effects. His face got puffy. He developed terrible acne on his back. And he was emotionally dysregulated. In an interview, his mom said, quote, "He went from a calm person like we're talking now to these rages, yelling and screaming and hitting on the table, stomping out of the room, totally un-Taylor-like. And then 15 minutes later, he'd come in and sit down. Oh, I'm so sorry I acted like that. I promise I won't do it again." Mm-hmm. His parents assumed, since it was so out of character for him, that it was teen hormones, but the intensity made them think that it was something else. So they had him tested for drugs, which came back completely clean. But steroids aren't on a normal drug screening. During one of his rages in front of his mom, he threatened suicide with a knife. They decided to send him to a psychiatrist. Maybe his mental health isn't great, you know? Mm-hmm. He eventually opened up to Dr. Babette Farkas and admitted that he was stacking.
Babette Farkas. What a name.
I know.
I would call her Baby Farts.
Yeah, that's cute. But he admitted that he had been stacking. He was taking steroids orally and injecting simultaneously to try and get better results. This is actually something that people that do steroids do a lot. The doctor convinced him to tell his parents and go off of them. She also put him on a low dose of Lexapro to help with the transition off of the steroids. Between teen hormones, his body not producing its own testosterone for so long, and already having self-esteem and confidence issues, Taylor was going to need a cushion for that depressive swing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
During this adjustment period, not long after his 17th birthday, Taylor got caught stealing again. His parents grounded him, taking the keys to his truck and his cell phone. The next morning on July 15th, 2003, Taylor tried to talk to his mom about easing up. He apologized and was begging her. He was taking being grounded really, really hard. And his mom said, quote, "He got up about 9 a.m. and I'm sitting here on the sofa and he came in and sat by me and we're sitting close to each other. And he goes, 'Mom, please, please, I'll sign a contract. I'll do anything. Please, please don't let me be grounded. I promise I won't do anything again.' And I said, 'You know, Taylor, this time you really have to be grounded.' So he reached over like this and grabbed my hand and he squeezed it and he went upstairs." End quote.
Oh, no.
A little later, Gwen called up to Taylor, but he wasn't answering. Okay, there's a trigger warning here. Trigger warning. When she walked up the stairs, she found her son hanging on the door by 2 belts he had buckled together.
No.
His mom got the belt off and started giving him CPR on the floor. When paramedics arrived, they too attempted life-saving measures, but Taylor was pronounced dead at the hospital. When police searched his room, they found a note that said, "I love you guys. I'm sorry about everything." They also found a vial of anabolic steroids. 6 weeks after losing Taylor, his dad, Don, started speaking and telling Taylor's story. He quit his executive job and dedicated his life to this. Taylor's parents went on to start the Taylor Hooton Foundation. They campaigned to educate young people and adults who work with them about the dangers of performance-enhancing drugs. They're partnered with Major and Minor League Baseball, the NFL and the NHL, and a ton of other organizations. They even have a podcast called the All Me Podcast, talking to professionals around these issues, sharing information revolving around health and wellness. So this influenced the episode in that Luke was Taylor.
Yeah.
But the ending was just a little bit different.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Next week, we're releasing a Patreon episode. Give all the non-Patreon people a little teaser. And, ew.
Patreon's going to get a dinghy, though.
Yeah. Patreon's going to get their own dinghy. The Elite Squad patron. And then October 1st, we will have Season 7, Episode 5, Strain.
Tell me about it.
Oh, shit. Come on. So there's like an AIDS activist, and he's accused of killing gay couple. I think it's an anti-AIDS activist. I'm not sure. Toots' family member is somehow a part of this or something. I kind of remember this one. I think Toots finds out that a family member's gay, and it's like,
Blow his
like,
mind.
oh my God. Yeah. All right. Well, rate and review us. Give us 5 stars. Email us at svupod@gmail.com. If you want to send us anything, please do. I love presents. P.O. Box 176, Deforest, Wisconsin, 53532. All of our social media is at svupod. You can find merch at svupod.com and tpublic.com. Oh, join the Facebook group SVUpod Elite Squad, Facebook group chat called Walk and Talk. And if you're trying to find indie pods, or you are an indie pod and want people to find you, hashtag littlebitloud. Our Patreon is www.patreon.com/svupod. We have tons of extra content because we feel guilty and we love you.
Love you.
Call or leave us a voicemail or text us at 1-920-345-7005. 1-920-345-7005. That's it. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Warrior. I love Tom Hardy. Ugh. Is that the like thing where he finds the puppy on set or whatever?
What?
Never mind. That could have just been a dream I had, to be honest. I was probably like, boing, save that puppy. I love you. To our Elite Squad patrons, Marissa M, Elkie H, Trisha S, Emily T, Katarina G, Mary D, Joshua H, Lem, Eliza W, Nikki B, Melanie G, Andrew, Miranda B, Lauren T,
Katie A, Kate H, Vanessa, Lex, Shelby K, Kimberly L, Bonita R, Marin, Ursula, Catherine M, Kate P, Jessica S, D, Jana M, Tammy J, Bear,
Sam D, Mac Attack, Meg M, Alexis J, Kaitlin S, Christina D, Camille Z, Maggie D, Sin, Jessica P,
Emily, only here for the zip line, Victoria.
Oh God, there it is.
Yeah. Victoria, Scout G, Melissa M, Desiree R, Monica K, Katie S, Brenna T, Andrea M, Tash,
Al H. Every time I say Al H, I think Al. You know, Al from Married with Children or whatever.
Oh.
Andrea H. Oh, Aunt Sarah. Hi. Thanks for coming.
Auntie.
Katie H. Vern. Catherine B. Ariana. Madeline K. Kristen F. Samara B. Amanda P.
Mahalia S, Jules K, Julie R, Tracy, Rachel, Kitty Cat,
Itty bitty kitty.
Carrie M, Lilani J, Alex, Samantha S, Angie W, and Ariel E.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for following us. Thanks for everything.
Thanks
You
for
guys-
supporting us. We love you more than other people. Okay.